I think based on what you've told me, I think based on the history that you've told me between the two of you guys, and the fact that he's rough, and the fact that he's abusive, and the fact that he's violent, and the fact that you guys are separated, he came back from war, you didn't like it, you wanted to get the hell off you.
I just wanted him to get out of my house.
And he didn't, though. He didn't, Anita. And maybe the first time was accidental, and maybe he got shot, but you know what, you probably had enough of it and you shot him again.
I didn't intentionally shoot him again. I might have...
911, do you please fire medical attention? Explain to me what happened. What is strange about his came in here? Just get over here. I don't want him to die. Okay. What's his name? Robert Klein.
In the early hours of May 4th, 2010, Oviedo PD responded to a frantic 911 call made by Anita Smithy, who claimed she had shot her ex-husband in self-defense. Anita was covered in deep cuts and bruises. Having just escaped her oppressor, she was rushed to the hospital. But little did anyone know, the victim in this case might actually turn out to be the murderer. Anita Smithy was a resident of Oviedo, Florida, and a mother of two from a previous marriage. She met her husband, Robert Klein, while they were both working at the same company. Robert was a former combat medic who served in Iraq during Operation Desert Storm, and a widower, raising his two children, Stephanie and Eric, on his own after the death of his first wife, Debbie, in 2003. Anita, who also had two kids from a previous marriage, leaned on Robert for support during her own divorce in 2004. Their relationship blossomed into romance, and they married in May of 2007. In the early years of their marriage, Anita was happy with Robert. He made her laugh and brought joy to her life. However, things started to get bad between them over the years. After just 3 years of marriage, they separated and were living apart for about 3 months. The romantic spark never fully faded between the two, because despite their separation, they continued to sleep with each other. But no one could have ever anticipated what horror this would escalate to.
Hey, tell me exactly what happened. My next door neighbor just came to my house. She shot her husband. Did she say she shot her husband? Yes, she did.
Her neighbor claimed that when she showed up at her doorstep around 2 a.m., she was sitting on the ground holding a towel to her side, which was soaked in blood due to a stab wound. Additionally, she had visible injuries, including a bruise on her forehead, a chipped tooth, and cuts to her lower lip, face, and neck. She was rushed to the South Seminole Hospital immediately, and at around 4:38 a.m., Corporal Nelson Janelle reached the hospital to get her account of the night that ensued.
He wanted me to have a drink with him. I did. He poured a drink for me. I just drank a little bit of it, and I sort of poured it out and turned around the rest of it because I didn't want to drink that. And then, he started wanting to make out and stuff, and so I was just kind of like, okay. And, I wasn't really comfortable with that, but I just wanted to go home. I just wanted to do whatever he wanted to, just go home. He normally just goes home. Anyway, just started fooling around, and, we had sex, and then...
Well, tell me how that started.
I got out of the shower, and I had my clothes back on, and I just said, you need to leave. And he was just laying on the bed naked. He just said, I'm not going anywhere. And I said, well, I have to work in the morning, so you need to go. And he said, I don't want to go. And then he started saying stuff about he doesn't want it doesn't need to end, it doesn't need to, break up and stuff like that. And then at some point, it was really dark, but at some point there was a knife, like he had a knife, and I guess he was on top of me, but I had my clothes on, so I guess he was on top of me, but I had my clothes on, but he didn't have his clothes on. Then...
You say he's on top of you, was it on the bed or on the floor?
On the bed, he was sitting on top of me. And, sort of put my pants down again, and I just told him, don't do anything stupid, because they'll know who did it. If you do something stupid, they'll know who did it. And he said, no, they won't. I'm at home with my kids. Stephanie will tell you that.
Anita claims that she wanted him gone. But the more she played along with the charade, the more Robert wanted to stay and be with her. He wanted to change her mind about the separation. But when that wasn't working, that's when things got dark really quickly.
That would be really stupid. You know, I was just trying to tell him that would be really stupid for you to do something like that. He just told me to shut up, and they hit me in the face and mouth. I guess with his hand. And my teeth were chipped, and
Was it
hit me in the eye too.
Did he punch you or?
Not with all his force. Not all with all his force, but just like, I think it was more like to shut up, just to tell me to shut up, to stop talking.
And that's how you chipped your tooth?
Yeah, my tooth is busted, and on the side of my head it hurts too.
And you say he hit your eyes. Was it like one hit or?
It just once. I think it was like backhand, maybe, like, just shut up.
What side of the face? Over here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I was kind of like, I think I was laying kind of like this. He told me to shut up, and he pulled my pants down. He started having sex with me, but like violent, like mean, like. And then he jabbed me up my ass and then I clawed him. And he told me to get off me. And I clawed him. Like, get off me. You know? He's like, I know you like it.
This interview took place 2 hours after the incident, so you can tell that she was still in shock. But from her description, we're looking at a classic self-defense case. To corroborate these claims, some of the detectives were sent to the scene of the crime while Anita was allowed to rest. Now that the detectives have gone over her story and collected evidence from the crime scene, the detectives come across a lot of inconsistencies. It's possible that she may not have properly recalled most of the events of the night due to trauma and shock, but it is some of the key things that she said which makes us question her self-defense claim. After Anita is discharged from the hospital, she appears for her third interview. By now, she has recovered from her injuries and can present her story from a clearer perspective, one that corroborates with what happened.
Okay. I know this is probably very traumatizing for you, so I'm not asking you questions to have you necessarily relive it. It just kind of gives me a better picture of the events that occurred this morning and or last night. Now, you and Robert are still currently married.
Yeah, we're just separated.
Okay, how long have you guys been married?
3 years.
Okay. How long did you guys live at the address on Hanging Moss?
3 years, but he's lived there much longer. That was his house before.
Okay, and you've been living at the new address on Corbin Court for the last 3 months?
Since February 1st, yep.
Okay. What was the purpose behind you guys separating?
Back in November, things were getting kind of bad between us, like really hostile, and like he was really getting aggressive. He wasn't doing very well at all financially, and we hadn't made a mortgage payment in a year. And it wasn't so much that we couldn't make the mortgage payment as much as he wanted us to apply for that mod program.
Okay.
And so we were trying to get in on that and do the mod, and he wasn't doing very well financially. So I think like in the last year, things, because he's a financial planner and sells insurance, and economy sucks, and so he was just really having a hard time with work, and he just kept taking it out on my kids and me, and
taking out how so?
If he didn't like something that my son said, he would say, get out of my house, and he always referred to it as my house, and every time we'd get into an argument or I didn't agree with him, he'd always say, get out of my house. And so I was just like, I was just like, and then in November, he just punches holes in walls and throws things all the time, and my ex was giving me a lot of pressure. He doesn't want my kids around that because they were telling him stories of what Robert was doing and his temper and stuff, and he was smoking a lot of weed back then, and I think he quit totally quit when I left. I don't know that for sure, but he was
Did he ever become physical with you?
yes, in November, and
Had you ever become physical with him?
I grabbed his face. I mean, I pushed him back when he pushed me. Then I put my hands up to his face and pushed him back. But other than that, I haven't been physical with him.
And how long did the physical stuff go on?
Well, it just started that in November.
Just
Really,
November?
like, yeah. I mean, there'd been instances where he threw things at me, or he punches. His big thing really is punching walls, and he punched the shower and busted it one time. And so when he gets mad, he just punches.
It's a little early to tell, but it's clear that she's portraying herself as the victim, not just now, but for many years. And for some reason, she put up with it every single time, up until this incident. Notice how when she was asked about getting physical with him, she talked about her pushing him away, as if in self-defense. For the next few minutes, she will talk more about this abuse and how she endured it all this time.
What led to you guys getting separated?
Well, that November issue, where he shoved me and I fell back against the bed and everything, and he punched the shower wall, and the shower was, I just told him, that's it, I'm done. I'm calling 911. I'm not putting up with this. I'm not tolerating this physical. My kids and all the kids were crying, and I was just tired of it. Just tired of it. And so I just said, I ran downstairs to call 911, and he took my phone, he threw it across the floor, and he grabbed all the phones, and he looked at all the kids, and he looked at my son and said, he said, like, if you dial 911, you're going to regret it, is what he said to my 13-year-old. And my son just looked at me, he was crying, and he's like, had tears in his eyes, and he said, Mommy, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, don't call, just don't call, just don't worry about it. And then at my first opportunity, I took off out the back door and went to the neighbor's house, and I did, and the police did come out, and but I didn't press charges. They have charges pending on him for not letting me call 911. I guess it's a felony or something. I don't know, it's a bad thing.
Any reason why you didn't press charges?
Because he was very upset about it, and he said he would lose his licenses because he's a insurance. He has to take licenses for insurance, and I didn't want to ruin his life. I just wanted to stop. So I said, I'm not going to press charges. I went to met with the district attorney. I had to go to that class, and I just told him I don't want to ruin your life. I just want us to be able to live in a happy home. And then sure enough, about December, January, it started up again. It was the same, new hole in the wall, new language and threats and stuff. And so I just decided my sister and her boyfriend got laid off at a factory in Indiana. Her boyfriend's about 6'4", 300 pounds, and they came down and they said, well, we're going to help you move out. He wasn't going to let me leave. He just wanted me to leave. I don't know how to pacify him. I try to give him his way, and he's not happy, and I try to set boundaries and draw lines, and that doesn't really work. But I didn't want him to lose his licenses, and he really, I just felt like it was mostly threats. Like, what can the police do? It's mostly threats, and so I thought I could handle it. I thought it was just time. I just thought time will take care of this. Just have to wait it out. Just wait it out. Be fine.
It sounds like this wasn't the first time that Robert overstayed his welcome. She claims that it was common on every Monday for him to come over and engage in such encounters. But the question is, what was different this time? She claims that this time he got aggressive. But was this aggression worth the self-defense attempt of pulling out a gun? Well, for that, we have to assess the conditions of the attack.
Are you trying to pull away at all?
Yeah, I'm just telling him no. I'm just telling him no.
He's not really getting aggressive at all.
He is getting aggressive at this point.
Okay.
He is getting aggressive at this point.
Okay.
All of a sudden, he's got this knife, and I didn't know where it came from, and I didn't know where was it in his pants? Did he have it laying on the bed? I didn't really, was it on the nightstand? I wasn't sure where this knife came from. And all of a sudden, he's really above the top, angry. And but the knife is there's a Kleenex, and he's got the knife like this with the Kleenex around it. And then he does like kind of like this number like here, like just not cutting me, but just barely like this number right here. And then I just told him,
while he's on top of you.
yeah. And then so then I told him, I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm like, if you hurt me, you can't get, you're not gonna get away with this. Everybody's gonna know it was you. Everybody will know it was you. You know, I don't know what you're doing. Because I felt like at that moment, is he threatening to kill me? Like, what is he doing with the knife? I don't understand what he's doing.
Did you see a knife? Okay, hold on. Let's go back a little bit. Where are you? First of all, where are you on the bed?
I'm on my side, laying.
Okay, you're
I'm laying flat down, and he's
nightstand.
right here. Yeah, he's on top of me.
And he puts what you believe to be a knife
Right
on your neck, although you don't necessarily see it per se.
I saw something silver. I don't know what. I didn't know what
Okay,
kind
you're
of
not positive it was a knife, though.
No, but I felt him do that on my
At
neck.
this point, you only have one pant leg down.
Yeah, and at that point I didn't have a pant leg down like had been trying, but then at that point then he puts his hand up like this and then he pulls my pant leg down because now I know he has something.
Okay, so he puts a knife to your throat. That's when he says the things he says to. He pulls one pant leg down.
Yeah, and then he proceeds to have sex and with me and stuff.
Where's the knife at this point?
I guess he's still holding it up here, like
It's not at your neck anymore.
No.
Okay, so he puts the knife to your throat. He pulls your pant leg down. He starts having sex with you, but at some point
he just does this, and then he pulls it up.
And then you don't see or feel anything after that.
No, not right,
Okay.
not then. But he'll come back. I mean, he comes back again the next time.
Okay, but then he starts having violent sex with you.
And I'm telling it hurts. I'm telling it hurts.
Okay.
You know, it really hurts.
Okay.
And at that point he turns around because like when we have sex we use coconut oil like as a lubricant. So he turns around and there's coconut oil on the edge of the bed. He turned around to grab it and I could see his back. And that's when I went and I got the gun out of the side. It was in my nightstand. That is the point where I got the gun and I put it under the pillow.
Oh, is that normally where you keep the coconut oils on the nightstand?
No, we had been having sex earlier, so it was on the bed. It was the coconut
Okay,
oil
then.
it was on the foot of the bed. So I'm laying here. He was on top of me, like here. Okay. So then what he does is, and I don't know where the knife is at this point. I don't know if it was still in his hand or not, but he reaches over. See, he reaches all the way over and grabs the coconut oil and stretches, like almost crawls over to grab the coconut oil on the other side of the bed. And then when
on the head of the bed or the foot of the bed?
foot of the bed. He turns
Okay,
around, so I see his whole back.
So if he's on top of you, he would have to turn around to the left-hand side to grab it.
He's like this, and he turns around like this to grab it, like this.
Okay, so then you'd have to
And then I
turn
see his
to the
back.
right-hand side.
And I see his back, and when I saw his back is when I transferred the gun from the nightstand to the underneath the pillow.
Was the nightstand open or is it closed?
It doesn't really close all the way, so it was kind of open. It was open. I didn't have to move the drawer to get the gun.
Okay, so he's on top of you. He turns to
Get the coconut oil.
his left, or his right, excuse me, over his right shoulder to grab the coconut oil.
Let's see, or he's like this. Yeah.
Okay,
like
so
this.
he turns over his right hand shoulder to grab the coconut oil. You see his back.
Well, no, he's not. If he's on like this. Yeah, I guess you're right.
He reaches probably with his left hand
I don't
over
know.
his right hand side.
I don't know.
Either way, he turns to his right.
Anyway, all I can do is I know his back's to me at the point.
But he
at this
turns to
moment.
his right, though.
Right.
I'll make sure that's correct. Okay, so he turns to his right. Is at that point, you then turn to your left to reach into the nightstand to grab the gun.
I just grabbed it like this.
To your left, though.
Yeah, to my left.
Okay.
And grabbed the gun with my left hand, not with
With
my
your
right
left hand.
And
Okay.
then grabbed it over and then moved it and put it underneath the pillow. And actually I transferred it like to this pillow and then I moved it under that pillow and I left it under that pillow.
Okay.
I just left it there in case.
So you would transfer to the pillow that would be on your right hand side then, if you're laying on your back.
Yes.
Okay. So it's in the left hand, you reach across, you put underneath the right hand pillow behind you this way. That's
no,
correct if I'm laying down.
I didn't go behind me. I went like this and then yeah, you're right. I did. I
Okay.
went across my body and put it right there.
Okay. Under the pillow.
Under the pillow.
Still with your left
not
hand?
on, not the side I'm laying on, but the other side. Right.
Okay.
So then he came back with the coconut oil and proceeded to have sex, and it was very violent. And he
Did
was
he
like,
put it on
he was
himself
saying-
and then put it on you?
I think he did. Yeah, I think he did. And he was also like masturbating like himself, like when he was with me with his hand. he was also like doing it with, doing himself too, like that, and like just.
This is the first time that she actually mentions him touching himself. She also talks about how they had intercourse while he had the knife. A lot of things about this encounter are becoming tough to corroborate. On top of that, she will now manipulate the events leading up to the shot to make it look like an accident.
And then I brought the gun close inside, and I told him, I've got a gun. I need you to get out. And I didn't say I need you to get out. I said get out. I said I've got a gun. Get out. He knows I have a gun anyway. I mean, he knows I've had a gun. I've always had a gun. But so at that point, I was like, I had no intentions of shooting him. I wasn't going to shoot him. I had no intentions. We were so close. Like, he was right there. We were so close to the point that I almost think that he might have been leaning on the gun. I don't know, but so I was holding the gun. I was holding the gun like this, and I just had no intentions of actually shooting him, and I just did, and I don't. And he sort of came down on it, and I did, and then he looked down and saw that he'd been shot wherever he.
Okay, I mean, did you pull the trigger?
Yeah, I think I did, because.
Okay, so you put the gun to.
But see, it was cocked, so it was the trigger was very tight. The trigger was very tight. Like, I should have never cocked that gun under the pillow.
Okay. Tight meaning it would be hard to pull the trigger?
No, I mean, it was, it was very close to the pin. I mean, it was very easy to pull. I mean, it just took a second and it went off, because I'd already cocked it, so it wasn't like I had to pull really hard on it. It just went. I mean, it just almost that instant that he pushed back on it, it went off, and I would have never, ever, ever shot him in the heart, ever. I would have never shot him. Like, I would have never shot up that high. I would have shot down low, or I would have shot at the wall, but I would.
Well, when you had the gun pointed at him, was it pointed at his heart?
No, it was just pointed at him. I mean, I just had it pointed at him.
At him in his stomach, abdominal region?
Yeah, like, I was laying down and I just had it pointed at him, like this, like just pointed at him, like more
up
in
up against his skin, though.
Yeah, but because he was really close, and yeah, he was really close, and he came down. It felt like he came down on it.
Meaning he moved it. Okay, meaning his body came down. Did his body position change at all, or was it just came down?
I don't know. I just know it came. I just know I actually felt him hit the end of the barrel of the gun.
Okay, is it fair to say that the gun might have been near his heart area, and when he came down, that's where the point of impact was?
I didn't have it pointed up at his heart.
Okay. So you don't know, somehow or another, he got shot in the heart?
I don't know he got shot in the heart, but I know I killed him, and I don't think I could shoot him in the stomach and kill him. I didn't see. I tried to roll him over, but I couldn't see where I shot him.
Okay, so the gun accidentally goes off, and he asks, okay, how do you know he got shot?
Because he said it. He actually set up, and he goes, and then he actually set up, and he said something like, you bitch, you killed me. And he said, you killed me. He said, you killed me. And at that point. He
sits up while still sitting while laying on you.
Yeah, he had been down, and he just sat up, and then he said, you killed me, and then he rolled over across the bed, and then that's when I thought, oh my God, I just started screaming. Because I was like.
She claims that he was on top of her when she shot him, after which he rolled off of her and fell to the ground. Then she got up. If someone is shooting from a lying perspective, there should be bloodstains on her, which there were, but she claims that those bloodstains are from the stab wounds, so there's a bit of a conflict here. Now, at this point, it's only been 12 hours since the incident, and the detectives have asked her about this story about 3 times. It is now time for the detectives to double down on this story and start picking out the inconsistencies.
Do I need a lawyer?
That's totally up to you.
Well, I feel like this is getting very interrogating.
Well, here's the situation like I told you earlier.
I understand, but, I don't want to, confuse something and it be used against me or whatever, and I don't have a lawyer.
Well, no, what we want you to do is to tell us the truth.
And like I said, listening to your story, I mean, this is like the third time I've heard it. And
Well, I remember a lot more than when I talk to you. I keep adding to it.
And that's normal. I understand it. But there are some things that don't quite jive, and those are the ones we gotta get cleared up. Okay, I'm not saying you're lying. All I'm saying is if there's something that
well, I may not remember exactly the position or not the position or whatever that's going on. But...
Okay, well, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I mean, there's a lot of things I know you're telling the truth because you're sure of it, you're consistent with it, and it makes sense. There's certain things that aren't consistent with what you say and what we see, and they're not consistent with the way you said it.
Like what?
The main issue I have is the knife. Okay, and how you got your wounds. All right. Now, I understand. You know, I believe he was abusive towards you. I believe you know you were a victim of a domestic violence, and I believe that you had the gun because you were worried that something was going to happen. That I believe. What I think perhaps is, and you didn't mean to, but you shot him. And maybe you panicked and you thought that you were going to get in trouble if because, you know, you weren't able to explain why you did it, and perhaps you self-inflicted the wound with the knife.
I didn't. I mean, his hand was on the knife too.
Well, I understand that, but first of all, the way you say the knife initially, you said you described it to me. It was a folding knife, and I think you said he brought it with him, and that you believe it was your son's, and now you're.
Well, but I'm not. I'm saying that that's the knife that was on the floor.
Okay.
He's trying to tell me, is that the exact knife? Did you see it at that time, at that moment in time? No, I didn't see it, but I saw it later laying on the floor.
I understand, but when you bring in the knife, everything you're sure of, and you consider when you bring in the fact about the knife, it's real blurry. Where the knife comes from, where it goes, how do you sustain?
I don't know. I don't really know how that all happened. I don't really know. Honestly, I don't know how that all happened.
And you said you shot him once now, and initially told me you believe you may have shot him the second time.
Yeah, I don't know.
When we looked at the gun, he was shot twice.
Okay.
And there was a spent round in the middle, so you must have pulled the trigger 3 times. Once when he got shot in the chest, one didn't fire, and then a third one that hit him in the arm.
No, I didn't shoot it 3 times.
I'm just telling you, he had 2.
No, I told you I may have shot it twice because it was cocked, and I shot it, and I might have shot it twice. I don't remember if I shot it twice.
Okay, there's certain things about this. Our job is to find out what happened, and the only reason for me questioning you or asking these questions is so I can paint a bigger picture of exactly what occurred, because it's important. It's important in the investigation, everything that occurred. There's certain things that can be disputed, and there's certain things, because sometimes there are gray areas here and there, I can see that, but there's some things that cannot be disputed. And the one thing that cannot be disputed, for instance, is the gun. The gun never lies. And upon analysis of the gun, or the casings, the gun was fired 3 times. The trigger was pulled 3 times. There's no disputing that. That is what happened.
I didn't hear it fire 3 times.
Well, whether you heard it fire 3 times or not, the trigger was pulled 3 times. Is it fair to say that maybe in the process you pulled the trigger 3 times?
Maybe. I didn't intend to fire it 3 times because I didn't even intend to fire it twice.
Okay.
I intended to fire it once.
But can you say 100% that you did in fact fire it twice though? Or pull the trigger twice?
I just heard a ring. I heard a ringing, and like I said, I think I might have fired it once or twice. I know for a fact I did not fire it 3 times. I mean, I know what you're saying is that it was fired 3 times, but right. I know I didn't hear it fired 3 times, and I don't know.
Okay.
Another inconsistency we have with your story, based on what we found, you said the coconut oil was on the bed. When we went to your house, we found it in the bathroom. How did it get there?
thought it was on. I think it's on. I thought it was on the bed.
No, it's in the bathroom. That's why I need you to. I don't care if you tell me that.
Well, maybe he went to the bathroom and grabbed it instead of rolling over on the bed. I know, like when he. I don't know.
Well, you would have known if you got up. Listen, Anita. All I want is the truth. Okay, I'm not trying to get you, in trouble.
I just shot my husband, and I don't know. You guys are trying to trip me up. Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
I told you I believe you are a victim of domestic violence.
I don't have any reason to lie to you. There's nothing I can do for myself. No. I'm not lying to you.
I believe certain things were you saying, but I need you to tell me the complete truth. I mean,
I did think that the coconut. I did think that it was. I'm sure it was because we already used it before.
Well, I believe it, but we found it in the bathroom. Could it have been that after you shot him, you moved it to the bathroom?
No, okay,
I
didn't move it.
That's the thing. We're trying to find out how did it got there.
But the thing is, that maybe I don't know because I turned around to move the gun. I mean, I saw him. I thought he rolled over and grabbed the coconut oil, and I was in the process of trying to move the gun from the. My goal right there was moving the gun from the nightstand to the pillow, and I did that successfully.
Well, it's okay. It's important to know if he was on top of you, the coconut oil, or if he got up.
He wasn't holding me down.
I know that, but what was he on top of you and his weight was shifted to grab the coconut oil, or did he get physically off you now and leave the bed?
Well, if the coconut oil's in the bathroom, he obviously got off of me.
But you would know. That's what I'm trying to say.
I don't remember. I mean, that's what I thought happened. I thought that's what happened. I thought he, reached. He got across me, and the coconut oil must have been at the end of the bed, and he grabbed it because I know he was getting the coconut oil because he was wanting to have more sex, and so that's when I moved the gun. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he did get up. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he did get up.
Okay, well, let me then retract and say, how long was his back turned, or was he supposedly off of you to get the coconut oil before he got back on you and you guys started having sex again?
Long enough for me to get the gun from that drawer to the behind the pillow.
How long would you say that would be?
I have no idea.
3 seconds? 5 seconds?
I don't know. Because if I say, then you're going to use it against me.
Nothing's being used against you at this point.
Yes, it is.
No, we're just trying to get a bigger picture. That's all we're trying to do. If you reached, grabbed the gun, and stuck it back on the pillow, and that was it, and you guys had started having sex, that's important to know.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he did go to the bathroom. Maybe it was longer than I thought.
Did you ever get up at any point to go use the bathroom throughout any of this process?
Probably when I went to the shower.
Okay. Aside from when you came back from the shower.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think I did.
Well, just to let you know, we have the crime scene investigators, and they've been processing the house all day. They're going to put everything together. It's going to show one way or the other what happened. The only two people that know what happened is you and your husband, and obviously he's not going to be able to tell us. The other way we can find out is by using the evidence. I don't want the evidence to show that you're.
Well, then I'm not talking anymore because I don't know. I mean, I'm telling you what I think happened that night. I'm telling you like step by step what I think happened. Maybe he did get up, but I mean, it was very traumatic for me. It was a very traumatic situation for me, and I don't know. Maybe I'm filling in the holes because I don't remember what happened. I don't know, and maybe that's wrong for me to do that.
Well, yeah, I don't want you to make anything up because
maybe he did go to the bathroom to get the coconut oil instead of just reach across the bed. I don't remember which one it was. I remember waiting until he turned his back because I knew at that moment that I was going to move that gun.
Now the inconsistencies are coming up and her story is falling down. As much as she wants to present herself as a domestic violence victim, the evidence is bringing her into the light as a cold-blooded murderer. And now it's time for the detectives to really turn up the heat.
And the same thing with the knife situation. That's still not making sense.
He had the knife with the Kleenex at one time, and I don't know where he got it or when it came into play.
Did you touch the knife at all?
Yes, I did.
At what point?
When he had it when like he had up here, I grabbed the knife, and that's when I said I think that's when I got stabbed, is when his hand went over the top of mine and I had the knife.
What part of the knife were you touching the blade? Normally, when you're struggling with a knife and he's got his hand on the grip, the only thing you really have to hold on is like the blade, and so, most of the time you would have some kind of laceration on your hand.
No, I had the knife. I had the knife, and then I.
Have you ever seen the knife before?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, where have you seen it?
It's a knife that I bought at a store like back in September or November, October, something like that. That my son said he wanted it for airsoft, and then when Robert and I went and looked at him, and I bought that one for him. But then we both decided that was way too sharp. He's only 13 years old, and that wasn't a good knife. And we already took it out of the package. We didn't take it back, and I don't know. I have a knife that has a black handle and in my house, so.
But the knife.
I'm just assuming that Robert brought it. I don't know.
Well, I'm going to ask you again, straight up, and it's a yes or no answer. Did you inflict those wounds to yourself?
I was holding the knife when it hit and when it was inflicted into me, yes. But his hand was on it too.
Okay.
His hand was on my hand at the same time because we were fighting over the knife.
All right. So, but you remember that happening. That's how you got your laceration on the side.
I don't know. I don't remember it going in. I mean, I don't remember it going in, but we did wrestle. We did fight over the knife at one point.
So this happened while this wasn't after he got shot.
No, he was dying.
I'm asking, did it happen before you shot him or after?
Before.
Just tell me straight up.
Before.
I just want to know the truth.
How do you know that you inflicted the wound if you didn't feel it?
Well, because I had a hold of the knife at that time.
I know, but you would say at the Corporal General is that you knew that you had a hold of the knife when you got stabbed. How did you know you had a hold of the knife when you got stabbed if you did not feel the knife?
Well, I didn't feel it. I didn't know I was bleeding. I didn't know. I didn't feel the pain of the knife.
A lot of the time, there's with as advanced as technology is with science and computer and recreating a crime scene and looking at we have experts that look at the wound and they're able to tell from angles.
Right, I understand that, but I don't know at what point. I don't know at what point in this that I got stabbed. I don't know. So what you're saying is I need a lawyer because you.
Well, that's your decision.
I've just been through the worst day of my life, and
we're just trying to get clarification. Is all we're trying to get. If there was a struggle and there was a knife present earlier in the evening or the morning, let's say, he put the knife, or what you thought was a knife, to your throat. You felt in fear of your safety. You grabbed the gun, and you shot him. And you might have freaked out. And you're worried about how we're going to take it. So in turn, you stab yourself. We need to know that. That's important.
I didn't stab myself by myself.
Okay. It's important to know that. It's just you and I now. Between you and I, it's important for me as an investigator to know what happened, because if there's inconsistencies, it doesn't look bad on anyone else but you. So like I said, if you freaked out and you stabbed yourself with the knife, I need to know that. It's important. It's not trying to accuse you of anything. It's not trying to put the blame on you for anything. It's just to get the truth. So something as little and as minuscule as that is important to know. Is it fair to say that that's what happened? Is it fair to say that, yes, you shot him 3 times, or you pulled the trigger 3 times? Oh, it only...
No, I won't admit that.
Okay, is it fair to say that you pulled the trigger twice and you've heard 2 shots?
Yes, I did.
Okay, that's fair to say. Is it fair to say that you did freak out because you shot him, you're worried about how we're going to look at it, and you in turn stabbed yourself? Is that fair to say?
No, I did stab myself. I had a hold of the knife, but...
Okay. Okay, did you grab his hand and put your hand over his hand to stab yourself?
No.
Is that fair to say?
No, I didn't do that.
Okay. Is it fair to say that you didn't get stabbed while you guys were wrestling for the knife? Is it fair to at least say that?
It's fair to say that.
Okay. How did you get stabbed? I need to know that. I need to know the truth. Did you grab the thing and stab yourself?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I had my own hand.
Okay. At what point did you stab yourself?
I think it's when I got up and I was standing up.
Anita, it's not a think. You know when you stab yourself. Anybody would know when they inflict pain on themselves.
But I wasn't just by myself.
Okay, was there someone with you?
Yeah, Robert was there.
Okay, but Robert didn't inflict that on you.
No, I had the knife and we were wrestling for the knife and I stabbed. I mean, I stabbed it, but he was there too.
Okay, time out. This did not happen on the bed. I can say that.
It happened standing next to the bed.
Okay. This is after he's already been shot.
No.
Yes, it did. Anita, it did. Evidence doesn't lie. I was there. I saw everything. I know that didn't happen. I know you did not get stabbed on the bed. I know you did not get stabbed while you're wrestling for the knife. Is it fair to say that? Is it fair to say that?
Yeah, it's fair to say that.
Okay. So at what point did you get stabbed? Why did you stab yourself?
After I saw he was on the floor.
Okay. After you'd already shot him? Okay. How many times? Where did you get the knife from?
I didn't get the knife. He
Okay.
brought the knife in.
Okay. How do you know?
Or I don't know that he brought the knife. The knife was not in my house.
Okay. Where did you find the knife at to stab yourself?
He had the knife. This is not me.
I know, but those are not from a knife. Those are from scratches or something. Those are not knife wounds. Is that fair to say too?
No, that's not fair to say. This is the knife. This was the knife. This was the knife. He had that hold of the knife.
Okay. Okay.
He had a hold of the knife.
Okay.
He may not have done that, and I'll give you that.
Where did you get the knife from? I know maybe you didn't bring it, but where did you get the knife from?
It was he had it and he was threatening me like this with this one and
Right.
this
Right.
and then after it was all over, I found the knife and that's when I inflicted
Okay, that's why it's important to know. Where did you
and
find the
then I
knife?
dropped it down over by him.
Where did you find the knife at?
I think it was on the nightstand. I don't know where it was. I don't know where it was. It was.
Anita,
On the
we're doing good. Where did you find the knife at? Did you pick it up off the bed? Did you pick it up off the
Yeah,
floor?
I picked it. I
Where'd
picked it up
you-
where it was laying. I don't.
Where was it laying?
I don't remember where it was laying. I just know that I freaked out and I picked it up and I
And you stabbed
myself.
yourself. Okay. Standing next to him.
No,
Okay, where?
on the other side by the nightstand is here, the closet is here. I was standing right there.
Anita, it didn't happen there. It did not happen there. Do not lie
Well,
to
then
me.
tell me where because I don't
I'm
remember.
asking. You
I
do
don't-
know.
No,
Anita?
I was standing up. I know that.
Okay, I know you were standing up. But you didn't stab yourself by the closet. You stabbed yourself near him. Is it fair to say that? There's no need to lie now.
I'm not lying. I don't remember where I stabbed myself. I know that I freaked out and I did it. I'm admitting to you that I did it. I swear to you that I thought I would take a lie detector today and tell you that I swear that I was not standing next to him, but I was standing over on this side of the room.
Okay.
I did take the knife and throw it over next to him when I was done. I will
No,
say that.
You said you dropped the knife.
Next to him.
Okay. To do what? Why would you, if you were standing by the closet, would you stab yourself by the closet, walk over to him, and then drop the knife by him?
Because I was freaking out.
Why not drop the knife by the closet?
Because he was over there.
But why drop the knife by him opposed to where you stabbed yourself?
I don't know. I wasn't thinking. I didn't plan this out. I wasn't thinking. I just panicked.
Okay.
I was like, oh my God,
Okay.
I've shot him because I was scared of him, and I have other than a few face wounds and a few, and this right here, I have nothing to show for the fact that I shot a man. Other than the fact that I'm scared, I have nothing to show. It just.
Okay.
That was an intense 11 minutes, but now the knife situation is out in the open. She admits to stabbing herself, thinking that her self-defense claim won't hold up. And she was right. Well, if she can lie about getting stabbed, imagine what else she did to make this night look like a self-defense act when it was actually murder.
I'll agree with you because I don't remember. I thought I was over by the nightstand, but I'm not saying I was or I wasn't. I don't know at that point. I was freaking out. I know that I was like, oh my God,
You had enough. You had enough of the shit.
Right.
You had enough of the abuse.
And I overreacted.
You had enough of his power. You shot him twice with the intention of getting him off you. You probably, after you realize that you regretted shooting him twice,
Right.
you regretted shooting him in the heart. You probably wanted to shoot him in the stomach just to get him off you. It didn't work, so you shot him again in the heart. Who the hell knows? You go around to the side and you stab yourself because you were concerned.
I'm sorry to interrupt. The nurse from the health department said she had a couple more questions she wanted to ask you.
Okay. Hello? Oh,
Thanks.
here, you can talk to me.
Thank you. Hello?
Okay. Do we have a fair assessment of what occurred? If there's anything I'm saying that's off base or that you agree with, tell me, correct me. But from what I'm gathering is you had enough of it. You grabbed the gun, you already put the knife to your throat once before. You stayed there with the intentions of him having sex with you again and then leaving, but as soon as he didn't, and he started to get abusive again and violent, you shot him because you wanted to get him off you, and he was basically laughing in your face.
Yeah, but I didn't shoot him with the intention to kill him.
I don't doubt that. But you did intentionally shoot him to get him off you. We can agree upon that.
Not the first time.
The second time.
Yeah.
I can agree. I can say that I agree with that too. Okay, so you shot him accidentally.
The first time I didn't know I shot him in the heart.
Okay, but you had shot him. You didn't have the reaction that you wanted. You squeezed it again. Nothing happened. You're just thinking shit. So you shoot him again.
No, I don't remember that part.
Okay, but you did the second time. We can agree then. However it went down, that you shot him with the second time with the intentions of getting him off you.
Right.
And he did not have a knife or anything. We can agree upon that, right?
He didn't have a knife then.
Okay.
He did have a knife.
When you shot him, though.
No,
didn't have a
he
knife.
didn't have a knife when I shot him.
Okay.
No,
Then he rolls off the bed at some point onto the floor, right? You freak out. You find the knife laying by the nightstand or somewhere in that vicinity. Yeah. You run around to him. You're thinking, shit, the guy's about to die. I don't know what to do. And you stab yourself. And you drop the knife right there, and then that's when you call 911 and run all over the place. Is that pretty much a fair assessment of what happened?
Yeah, except I think, no, that's true. Yeah, that's true. That has to be
Okay,
true.
so that's pretty much how it went down.
On that day, Anita Smithy was booked at the Seminole County Jail in Florida for the charges of second-degree murder. She later made bail, but before that, she had bonded with an inmate, someone who had not only a similar charge against her, but a similar story, a husband killer named Kim Boone. Kim was also charged for second-degree murder of her husband, who, ironically, was also named Robert. Her case was from 2009, and she was serving a 40-year prison sentence, like Smithy. While Smithy was out on bail awaiting trial for killing her husband, Robert Klein, Boone was still in state prison.
Oh, my girlfriend comes over and she goes, oh my gosh, your picture's on mugshot.com. I was like, what? What I think is bad is it'll tell you that the camera is like 6 feet above you. Exactly. So of course you look evil because you're looking straight forward. Yeah. I'm like, that's not fair. Right, it's not. And I was talking to my neighbor upstairs. He went to prison, so I asked him that, like, what's prison like? He goes, are you planning on making a trip there? I'm like, I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. He said, I wasn't in imminent fear of him. After I shot him and he was gurgling and he wasn't moving, yeah. You serious?
I don't want to seem like, sympathetic to him, but, come on.
In 2016, Anita Smithy's trial for second-degree murder took place. The entire courtroom, filled with her friends and family, was absolutely appalled as this monster was read her verdict.
And the defendant guilty of second-degree murder. We further find that during the commission of the offense, the defendant personally carried...
This was not an outburst from someone who lost her husband. This was the cry of a person who knew that her story didn't stick.
We further find that during the commission of the crime, the defendant actually possessed a firearm.
The charge of possession of a firearm only sealed her fate behind bars. As the courtroom was basking in this heart-wrenching moment, no one expected there to be an absolutely crazy twist. She appealed her conviction within the first 30 days to the 5th District Court of Appeal while she was in prison. The appellate court found that her initial trial was unfair due to a lot of mistakes. Firstly, there was an ineffective assistance of counsel. The court believed that Smithy's legal representation fell significantly below the constitutional guarantee of effective assistance. Secondly, and I'm assuming that you're already thinking about this, but during her police interrogation, she invoked her right to remain silent, but the detectives continued questioning her.
Do I need a lawyer?
That's totally up to you.
Well, I feel like this is getting very interrogating.
Well, here's the situation like I told you earlier.
I understand, but, you know, I don't want to, you know, confuse something and it, you know, like, be used against me or whatever, and I don't have a lawyer.
Well, no, what we want you to do is to tell us the truth. Like I said, there's ways to find out if that's possible, but if it happened and you tell the truth now, it's better than if we able to prove otherwise, because then it's showing that you wouldn't come off it and you continue to you know, go with that.
So what you're saying is I need a lawyer because you.
Well, that's your decision.
I've just been through the worst day of my life, and
We're just trying to get clarification. Is all we're trying to get.
The appellate court concluded that the admission of Smithy's statements about her self-inflicted wounds was, quote-unquote, devastating to her self-defense claim. The jury was left with conflicting testimonies and evidence, which ultimately impacted their decision. In 2021, after serving more than 6 years, Smithy pled no contest to second-degree murder and was subsequently sentenced to time served, which resulted in her release from prison in 2021. She was placed on 10 years probation and was required to pay restitution and costs totaling $41,000. In other words, instead of life in prison, she only spent 6.5 years of her original 40-year sentence and was released as part of a plea deal. Because of a few strategic errors by the defense and the interrogators, Anita Smithy walked free 3 years ago from a possible slam dunk case. Now she spends her days waiting for her bestie Kim Boone to be released, with hopes that they will someday reunite and bond over their crimes.
You're not going to open a detective agency when I get out?
See detectives?
Yeah, bounty hunters and detectives. That would be fun. Yeah.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe. And if you think this case was horrific, well, you need to check out my video on the evil wife who almost got away with murder.